Hey friends, so I thought we'd do a little bit of a video. I'm waiting for this lava lamp here to heat up. I'm shooting another video where I'm playing guitar and it looks a lot better when that's working. So whilst I'm waiting for that to do its thing and it takes ages, I thought I'd just do a little bit of a lesson. So before I kick off, Myth, this is for you. I know you love that I wear my hat backwards, so why do I wear my hat backwards? Well, it's better than my quarantine hair, that's my excuse for today. I appreciate it, it's probably quite difficult to take me seriously when I'm wearing my hat backwards, but that's life. So, lesson. I'll caveat this with saying I am not a teacher. I've just learned some things along the way that have helped me, so maybe they will help you. So I want to talk about my approach to playing with other people, really, playing in a band, my approach to the instrument in general, and we'll do that through the medium of blues rhythm guitar. Now, don't click off the video. I could feel a collective sigh then when I said that. I'm not talking about, you know, straight blues rhythm. It's more of a thought around the notes contained within that and how to use them. So let's kick it off with, you know, I like to think of a band or a group of people, you know, playing as having a conversation. So, you know, the bass player, the drummer, musically they're having a conversation. And then you come in as a guitar player, you know, what are you going to add to that conversation? Well, like a conversation in real life, you're not just going to waltz in and just start talking over everybody about, you know, whatever you want. Well, maybe you do, I don't know. I don't do that. I would listen to what's going on in that conversation first and then think, well, what can I add to it? And that's the same approach with music and guitar. So, blues in A7. You might not have given much consideration to the notes in an A7 chord before, but we'll run through them really quick now. Now, there's a little bit of theory here, but it won't kill you. Everybody needs a little bit of theory. It'll make you a better player. So, A7. What notes have we got in? We've got the root note, which is an A. I'm just going to go down the strings one by one, so they're not going to be in order. We've got the 5th degree, so an E note. We have a flat 7, which is a G, and we've got the major 3rd, which is a C sharp. So 4 notes there. That's just a 5th there, and that's just a root again there. So it's made up of root, 3rd, 5th, and flat 7. Now I could ask you, what are the most important notes out of that chord? You might not know, maybe you do know. But I would always be trying to listen to what else is going on in the band. Now, it's likely that your bass player and keyboard player are going to be quite focused on the strong beats. So on the first beat, they're probably going to be on the root note. And the other strong note within that chord is the 5th. I mean, you think of the classic country rhythm. The problem with just those 2 notes is it doesn't actually tell us anything about the harmony of the song or the interesting notes within that chord. So if your bass player is playing the 1st and the 5th, you could play the 3rd and the 7th to mix it up. The way that I like to see it, or I like to approach it, is I imagine, you know, like the rhythm section in a band, the bass player, keys player, whatever, really good at making toast. That's what they do every time, you know, they make toast and it's perfect every time, but it's plain, there's nothing on it. So as a guitar player, I go in and think, well, what can I add to that? Well, you can add the 3rd and the 7th, or butter and marmite, or however you want to talk about it. So, 5th fret on the D string is your flat 7, and 6th fret on the G is your major 3rd. Now ultimately this will help your lead playing because you'll be starting to think in intervals, and that's incredibly important. You know, it's good to know all the scales and all the chords, but if you want to be able to improvise and sort of fit in as many situations as possible, you need to be thinking of intervals and aiming for those important notes and listening to what's going on around you to make it fit in. So you're not going to go in as a guitar player and just start going, it sounds shit. You need to listen to what the drummer's doing, you need to listen to what the bass player's doing, and you need to fit in with your part. So, for the sake of a blues progression, in the key of A, 5th fret on the D, 6th fret on the G, you've got... And then... So those are the only notes that you need to play for a start to go through this progression. When it goes to the 4 chord, you just move that position down 1 fret. And then when it goes to the 5 chord, you just move that original position up 1 fret. So you can work your way through a blues just like that, and it's a little bit more tasteful and allows a little bit more space within the song for other things to be going on, such as vocals, for example. And it still, you know, it still sounds good, and it shows the harmony of the song. So you've got like and I'll play the bass with it. So it just allows a little bit more of a tasteful approach to playing, and a little bit more sort of restrained, but still sort of playing along with the people that you're playing with. Now that concept can be taken to different genres as well. So, I mean, you can look at some jazz chord charts and they're absolutely insane, and you know, you're not going to want to do the full voicings of what's going on. And you might take a little bit more stripped back approach, but then you can sort of carry that approach across to more complex progressions. So So I referenced it would make your lead playing better. Ultimately, if you think about intervals, it will make your lead playing better. If you know what to listen for with a major third, for example. So that's that note in the middle. It's a classic thing in blues, you know, bending that minor third up to that major third. And you start to see those intervals and sort of get them under your fingers. It'll really help you with any genre that you go into. You know, just be using your ears and listen to what's going on around you. So I've had one resource that I thought was really useful when I was learning guitar. I've never really had a proper teacher, but that resource is this DVD. The Art to Blues Rhythm Guitar, Robben Ford. If you can get a copy of this, then pick it up. It's amazing. I think it's like a Freddie Green thing, is that comping sort of... But Robben Ford's referenced it in some of his instructional stuff before. It's not on that DVD, actually. But he does talk about some interesting concepts of maybe just a different approach that you might take to playing over a blues rhythm. And it's probably quite easy to think, you know, blues rhythm, it's well straightforward, I can do that. But there are so many different ways that you can approach that, and if you can sort of get them under your fingertips and in your head, then you'll be a lot better player for it. And obviously your bass player will really appreciate you, and the keyboard player, and the drummer, and everyone else in the band. You know, play your role. Every role, or every instrument within a band has sort of equal value. That's the way that I see it, you know, contrary to what you might see in the memes and jokes. You know, try playing in a band without a drummer or without a bass player, and you know, you notice it. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed that anyway, and I hope it's made at least a little bit of sense. I'm not a teacher, so don't ask me for lessons. I know that the question will inevitably come again. I get asked it quite a bit. I don't teach, I'm not interested in teaching, but I know a lot of people that do teach, some of the best players in the business, like serious world-class dudes. So if you're wanting lessons, then definitely go to those. I can pass those names across. A proper teacher probably could have taught you that in half the time, and it would have made twice as much sense. Anyway, nonetheless, I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll catch up with you again soon. Cheers!